Hello, my name is Becca. Even though I'm still young, I went through something horrible most people never go through. I was jailed. I was sent away to a juvenile detention center. Now, I'm not trying to make excuses for the things that I have done, but I want to share the traumatic experience I had at such a young age. Let's just say that no teenager should ever have to go through that. My story started when I began taking driving lessons. I was really enjoying my lessons and was always excited for the next lesson to come. My boyfriend Dan was already driving, and he had a really fancy car that his parents had bought him as a gift. Dan was really nice. He drove me to every place you could think of in that car, and I always envied him for having a driving license, unlike me. Only if I knew that my love for that car was going to change my reality. One night, Dan and I were in his car around the neighborhood. I was telling him how much I was fascinated by his car. Dan then offered to let me drive it, but I laughed and said that I wish. But Dan was serious. He said that there was no one around, and just a driver on the block would do no harm. I refused at first, but Dan kept pushing me to do it, so I eventually agreed. And it was awesome. The car ran so smoothly, and I drove around the block like a pro. But it didn't stop there. I wanted more. I took us to another neighborhood, and I was having so much fun. I turned on the music to full volume and smiled and went a bit faster. I took a look at Dan. He was such a wonderful boyfriend, I thought. He looked back at me and smiled. When suddenly we heard a loud sound, and I stopped the car immediately. Oh my God, I thought. I hit something. Dan and I got out quickly. We saw a man lying on the floor. He looked dead. Oh my God, what have I done? I was panicking. I can't even remember much of that night, but I remember that I hurried back into the car with Dan and drove off without thinking. Hours after, police officers were knocking at my door, and that was the night my life went downhill. Even though the man I hit didn't die, I was charged with driving without a license and a hit-and-run attempt. At that point, I had lost all contact with Dan. A couple of months after my 16th birthday, I was sentenced to a year in juvie. It felt like everything was spiraling out of control. I remember them putting me into a bus with a bunch of girls, some older than me, some much younger. It all seemed surreal to me as I stared out of the window. When I first entered the building, I noticed the number of guards standing around. It was unnerving to see them standing with a look on their face like they dared you to step out of line. The line I was in inched closer and closer towards the front until my name was called. I always hated going to the doctor, but this situation was different. They sat me down in a chair and asked question after question, each one more personal than the last. This was done while sitting next to a wide open door, a guard right outside, the line for the next girl not too far away, and other inmates and staff members walking past. To say that I felt exposed was an understatement. All the details of my life were aired out in front of strangers. After the seemingly unending questions, I was given a full examination. I thought the full-body pat-down by the man at the front was bad, but this was more touch, twist, and pull than I was comfortable with. The woman conducting the exam would keep saying, "Hold still," even though she was the one moving me, twisting my body into even more awkward positions, which would cause me to lose my balance. This earned me another stern look and a hard grasp of the shoulders. I was so happy when it was done, thinking that it couldn't get any worse. Then I met my roommate. She was a tall girl who must have been my age or a year older. When I entered, she gave me a look filled with caution and anger. The guard left, and she started to speak. She pointed her finger around the room. "This is my space, and it's been my space for years." Then she pointed to a small corner near the bed. "You can settle for that space over there." Her voice was absolute. She didn't wait for me to answer as she turned her back. I didn't want to cause trouble, so I sat there thinking about what I had gotten myself into and how the time would pass in this miserable place. The time I spent outside of my room was a nightmare. I was always the quiet type. I would rather spend my time alone than in a group. I wish I would have known that in juvie, it was the same as painting a target on your back. I got teased a lot. My things were thrown onto the floor, I was pushed from behind and tripped, punched, and even kicked. The treatment wasn't anything I wasn't used to, so I endured for a while until I had enough. I fought back and immediately got in trouble. The guards didn't help the inmates. Apparently that wasn't their job. Most of the time, they would turn a blind eye until it escalated from a scuffle to a full-out brawl. They seem to follow a motto: if we don't need to be involved, we won't. If we do need to get involved, you better hope you're not the reason. That's why most fights got resolved between the inmates. When the guards came to pull us apart, they pushed and pulled, then hit us until we complied. It felt worse than the actual fight. One time, I got in trouble with one of the inmates. She was the inmates.
Am I the asshole for laughing at my mom and telling her it's not my fault she's broke? My girlfriend's brother owns a small cafe and bakery. It's a relatively new place, but I recommend it to everyone that wants to go. It's worth mentioning that my girlfriend and her brother are very close, and my mom knows this. This past weekend, my mom was in town and decided to visit the cafe with a few of her friends. Around 12, while my girlfriend is at work, I get a distressed, angry call from my mom demanding to speak to my girlfriend. I'm confused and could tell that she was crying, so I tried to calm her down a little before I tried to piece together what happened. She said the staff treated her terribly and my girlfriend's brother embarrassed her in front of her friends. I asked her to elaborate, and she explains that she didn't bring money to pay because she thought it'd be free since she's a friend of the owner. Because she didn't have any money, she was forced to ask one of her friends to pay the bill. To be fair, I found this a little funny and absurd, so I laughed. Looking back, I probably shouldn't have done this because it really upset her. She proceeded to call my girlfriend a terrible person who was never going to be part of the family. I got mad and told my mom that it's not my fault she's broke, and then she hung up. I thought it was fine, but then I found out that my mom left a pretty bad review on the cafe's website, harassed the cafe, and left my girlfriend a string of badly written text messages. I feel really bad because I don't want my girlfriend or her brother to suffer because of my actions.
Am I the a-hole for switching to regular milk to prove my lactose-intolerant roommate keeps stealing from me? Me and two other guys share an apartment, and we all split the bills. The only thing we don't split costs on is groceries. And we don't touch whatever doesn't belong to us in the fridge. We put our names on everything so no one gets mixed up. This issue has been going on for almost a year, and I'm sick of it. One of my roommates, R, keeps stealing my food. I get home from work and containers with my leftovers are sometimes missing. They have names written on it, like everything else they have. My gallon of milk, for example, I buy almond milk because I like the taste, me too, but it seems to finish after a week, even though I've only drank one or twice. I confronted R about this lots of times, and that's caused lots of arguments. He outright denies it and tell me I'm crazy, even though it is so obvious. So last week, my milk was nearly empty again, and I got fed up. I went to the liquor store and bought regular dairy milk. I drank what was left of my almond milk and refilled the gallon with the one I bought.
All right,
this was to catch/prove R is the one stealing, since he is lactose intolerant. The next day, Saturday, we get back from work and R is pissed. He is yelling at me that he was stuck in the bathroom for 40 minutes with explosive diarrhea because of my milk that he was using to make a shake. I only responded with, "So, then you're the one who's been stealing." He freaking exploded. Yeah, he admitted he was sometimes drinking my milk and eating my food, but he was more mad that I switched the milks than the fact that he was caught. My roommate backed me up, you know, as he should, and he thought it was kind of funny that he got some payback from stealing from us, which I agree, it's hilarious. It's a little tense right now, and my roommate told me that R is trying to convince him to kick me out, but little does he know that we're both looking to move together somewhere else because we're sick of his ish. I told some buddies what happened, and if you think I was the a-hole for that, I feel like I'm not in the wrong here. He was taking my food and not even owning up to it, and I wanted to prove it. Does that make me the a-hole?
Am I the asshole for ruining my brother's wedding? My 20 female brother Nate, 28 male, is going to get married to his fiancée Emily, 32 female, in a week. I was extremely close to my brother growing up. He's my favorite out of all of my siblings. However, when he started dating Emily, we grew apart but still talk often. On the other hand, me and Emily don't get along at all. We just don't see eye to eye on things. They're having a child-free wedding, but in Emily's eyes, a child is anyone under 21 years old. I know, dumb rule. Originally, I wasn't allowed to be there for the reception or ceremony, but I told Nate how much it would hurt me not to be there, so he convinced Emily. At family dinner this week, Emily brought up that she would like to have a daycare service. She said she would love me and my boyfriend to look over the kids. We love kids, and we're actually studying to become a teacher and pediatrician. We were on board with it until we found out that we were watching 40 kids for 6 hours and only getting paid $50 each. We requested $150, but Emily said no. Nate said he told her we'd be happy to and that it's too late to find a different sitter. The more I refused, the angrier Emily got. She said I was being a greedy, selfish brat and that I should be paying her. She said if I don't do this, I'll ruin her wedding and won't be welcome to the ceremony. At this point, the dinner's ruined, my boyfriend's uncomfortable, I'm pissed, and the entire restaurant is staring at our table. I honestly don't care about babysitting and would do it for free. I'm just sick of Emily being rude to me.
Am I the ass for not opening the door for my roommate when he forgot his key? I'm a 27-year-old female who shares a flat. You can't open our apartment door from the outside without having the key. A few days ago, Aaron realized he forgot his keys, so he came back and asked me via text to open the door for him. However, I was in class, and I told him I would open the door on my break, which was in 2 hours. He wasn't very happy about this because he had to go to his own course, and he said that it would only take 30 seconds to go from my bedroom to the front door and back to my computer. This is true, but I wasn't willing to do this. What if my professor said something very important during those 30 seconds? My courses aren't recorded. So I told him, we will just talk about this later, and I shut off my phone. I kind of forgot about it until later that day. He had to wait for me to come home, something like 2 hours or so, and I could see that he was miffed. So am I the
asshole for asking my girlfriend to start wearing adult diapers? Is she into that type of thing? I'm a 26-year-old male, and my girlfriend, a 23-year-old female of 3 years, has shown some changes in her bodily function. At least once a week, she wets the bed. It all started a few months ago. I used to wake up in the middle of the night, help her clean herself up, strip the bed, and lay down towels to absorb what was left, but I don't anymore. Because it started happening more and more frequently. Well, this fine morning, I wake up 2 hours before I need to the warm, wet embrace that is her wetting the bed in her sleep again. I scoot closer to the edge of the bed on my side and I wake her up. Let her know that she just wet the bed again and roll over to go back to sleep. She notices and starts scooting over towards me. I told her no, she needs to stay on her side of the bed. She got upset that I wanted her to stay in her urine and got up. Went to the restroom, came back about 10 minutes later and threw a towel over it and got back in bed. So now today, I finally sat her down and told her I believe it's due to her alcohol consumption right before bed, but she refused to give up the bottle. She said this should be a judgment-free zone, and if she wants to drink in her own home at night, she should be allowed to. I told her drinking is fine, but to lower the amount. I wasn't trying to ban her from alcohol, but this phrasing now makes me think I should, like she might have a slight addiction. Anyways, after that, I suggested that we get her bed pads for her to lay on at night, or adult diapers for her to wear to bed, or maybe even do both. She's a heavy wetter. She wouldn't have to wear them during the day, obviously, just going to bed at night. She said that it's too embarrassing to even be asked to wear them and that it's out of the question and stormed out of the room. I can tell she's upset with me over it all, but I'm tired of waking up covered in pee. I'm upset too when it feels like she's not trying to do anything to fix her bladder problems. So am I the a-hole?
Am I the asshole for reacting negatively when my husband handed me my birthday gift? My female 25 birthday was 2 days ago. I was excited to see what my husband, male 33, got me. I got him an expensive belt for his birthday 10 months ago and he didn't like it, although it was on his wish list for so long. He said he just preferred to receive an iPhone or Xbox. On my birthday, we had a celebration with my family, and after they left, I asked my husband if he got any gifts. He asked me to follow him to the bedroom and I did. He opened the bottom closet where he keeps the stuff he doesn't use but doesn't want to get rid of and pulled out the belt. It was the one I had got him for his birthday. I was stunned. His face had no expression and he handed it to me. He said he's been keeping this for months and decided to give it to me on my birthday since he couldn't get anything else and since he had no use for it. I tried to process what he just did and ended up blowing up at him asking if he was joking with me. He remained calm as I questioned how he could have thought gifting me the item I bought for him, which was a belt, would be a good idea. I called him disrespectful and said that his gift was thoughtless and that he was being rude and dismissive of my feelings and my birthday. He said a gift is a gift and I shouldn't have reacted negatively, then complained when he does the same since he never wanted that belt but couldn't throw it away. He figured it was best to give it back to me and I get to do whatever I want with it since he didn't want it. We had a huge fight and he stormed outside.
Today I fucked up by shredding my butthole. To start with some context, I've been having a few stomach aches in the past few days, but today was exceptionally vivid. I had to relieve myself, so I went to the bathroom. A perfectly sensible and logical solution.
Lots of farts indicate lots of poops.
Yeah, farts push the poop out. Don't think so? Okay. I sat down and I instantly knew that I might not get out of this alive. One of my fears since I was a kid was a situation where I could no longer physically poop. Today was that nightmare. I steadily began pushing, carefully analyzing the feces' size. Lo and behold, I felt my anus stretch in ways that shouldn't be possible. I feared for my butt, and in panic, I immediately started pushing with all my might. The rectal elastic expanded in an orchestra of pain and suffering, the violins grating my anus lips, and the oboes chanting my misery. My legs were shaking, my soul quavering, my will defeated. The pain did not stop and rather transformed into a throbbing, burning sensation. Something did not go according to plan. I am now afraid to go poop again and await the moment with anxiety.